guys ready to have some fun learning about Japan? This older version of a sexy gentleman is me, and today our video is going to consist of some fun, definitely going to be educational, and just a little hint of mystery. Well, let's get started, guys. The agenda for today is information on Japan, main questions relating to the topic, and Abenomics branching off to expansive fiscal policy, expansive monetary policy, structural reforms. With then going to number 7, 8, quantitative easing, reasonings, and ending off with number 9 as conclusions. So, basically, this is where the country of Japan is located on the map. Right there, where the red circle is. More information on Japan. Japan is located on the eastern edge of the Asian continent. The population of Japan is estimated to be at 127 million, placing it on the top 10 list of countries with a high population. Also, Japan was founded in 660 BC, which is pretty far back. Japan is known for its crazy, rapid increase of economic growth in the 20th century. In the world, it is known to be third in the largest economic power, with China being second and US being on top. This chart shows the Japan growth versus the US growth. The question I want to ask you at the end is, should we follow the model of Japan? But the question I want to ask you right now is, how is the Japanese economy flourishing? Well, we can find the answer in the future slides. So, we should ask ourselves basically, how is the economy of Japan so great? Well, is it because of their amazing food? Or is it because of their anime? Well, if you have a puzzled look on your face and you're wondering what anime is, let me show you a short clip of exactly what that is. Wait, why am I even doing this? Nah, screw it. We'll just continue watching this. It's pretty good. Okay, we'll just replay this a little, okay? Could the reason why Japan has such a great economy be the food? I would say no. Could the reason why Japan has such a great economy be because of their anime? After watching that clip, I would actually have to say no on that. But let me tell you the real reason why their economy is so great. The economy of Japan is rising, and the reason for that is due to the term that is known as Abenomics. The term Abenomics was created by the Prime Minister of Japan, Abe Shinzo. So, basically, Abenomics is a program created by the Prime Minister to deal with stagflation that's been in Japan in the past. With the term Abenomics, there are 3 arrows. So, let's begin with the first one, which is known as expansive fiscal policy. The second one would be known as the expansive monetary policy, and third, structural reforms, which all those 3 add up to make the economy of Japan so amazing. Expansive fiscal policy is when the government increases the amount of money for the economy. It usually results in an increase in amount of spending and the decrease of tax. Japan uses this method by trying to stop their debt by spending tons of money in infrastructure and trying to decrease their debt by creating a tax in 2014. But that later backfired and created a recession instead. Continuing on expansive fiscal policy, the increased cash in citizens' hands allows them to purchase more supplies, thus increasing GDP in Japan. This concept relates to Adam Smith's invisible hand theory and how it motivates customers to purchase more products. The reasoning for Japan's success is when the interest rates hit a real low of 0. That means consumers can buy as much as they want, so spending will increase by tenfold, profiting the Japan economy, increasing economic growth. So cash will go up, up, up until there's so much. The second arrow in Abenomics is expansive monetary policy. That's what happens when the government increases their money supply in order to increase their economic activity or economic growth. When that happens, the change in the money supply shifts to AD curve, AD being the agitated demand, which helps in employment. The reason why expansive monetary policy is one of the arrows in Abenomics is because it encourages, or more like motivates, economic growth to happen. The reason why is because there's tax cuts and more government spending. So that means there can be more purchases from customers due to the increased income they have now. The reason why expansive monetary policy is used is due to the fact that it will lower interest rates, giving easy credit to businesses. So businesses can expand themselves, thus increasing the aggregate demand. As aggregate demand increases, so will employment. Japan needs to increase its inflation. The reason why is because Japan's current inflation is at a big low, that being 0.2%. Yes, I know, but by increasing the bank's money supply, they can basically get the inflation back into the 1 to 2% that they desire. Quantitative easing is when basically a bank expands itself in an economy. The reason why it does that, so it makes it easier for businesses in that economy to borrow money from the banks. As you can see from this photo right there, you can see that Japan's actually increasing from the amount of money borrowed from the bank. The first drawback to using quantitative easing is the possibility of a recession occurring. Money becomes easy when you have quantitative easing, like borrowing from banks, but the problem happens when it stops. Money becomes tight. Banks take the loans, recession forms. The second drawback to quantitative easing is the sudden increase in interest rates. Yes, in the short run, the interest rate will be really low. But if you really think about it, in the long run, inflation will occur. The inflation rate will be so crazy, it'll go through the roof. So, if you really do think about it, it'll fix one problem but make one in the future. The third drawback to quantitative easing is the loss of employment in the long run. Yes, businesses can easily borrow money from the bank, creating new jobs for everyone, but that's only for the short run. What happens if they stop? Banks stop lending money to businesses. Businesses have to rethink what they're doing. Contractions of jobs will occur, and unemployment will happen once again. Reform is basically changing the way the government works in its own economy. So examples of structural reform would be decreasing its trade barrier, introducing internal and external competition, or bringing in the labor market. All those are perfect examples of a structural reform. Continuing on the topic that we know as structural reforms, changes in Japan that are needed in order for the economic growth to increase is number one, the increase in labor mobility. Number two, trans-Pacific partnership. And number three, the amount of women's presence in our workplace. The second structural reform is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Basically, 12 countries came together in order to create a stronger bond through trade by reducing tariffs, child labor, and protect people from employment discrimination. As you can see from these charts, it shows the 12 that participate and it shows the effects of the GDP that they have. How does Trans-Pacific Partnership benefit Japan? Well, it creates more opportunities for Japan's businesses to expand overseas, so they can go to other countries, expand their business, and increase their economic growth. Another way would be the decrease on tariffs, which allows them to purchase more stuff like their auto industry. Third structural reform, women's presence in the workplace. The amount of women that work in the workplace is really low. That results in the slow increase of economic growth in Japan. If you were to add women into the workplace, that would increase economic growth because you're adding millions of women, which means millions of dollars that are about to come. Abenomics 2.0, the Prime Minister's master plan of changing Japan for the better. The plan is to increase Japan's GDP by 20%. He expects to see reach 594 billion in fiscal by 2020. He wants to increase the fertility rate from its current 1.4% to 1.8%. In conclusion, I believe that Japan is a good example of a well-developed economy. I believe other countries should follow its example because it's brought itself from the bottom all the way to the top. But it's not for me to answer that. It's for you to answer that. So my question towards you is, do you think so? Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Goodbye. final say before this presentation completely ends. It's Kahoot time. So now hold up, and I'll be sending the Kahoot URL in 3,